Let's think about what the internet did. Before it, if you wanted to learn something new, you often went to the library. But the library has hours and the books that you need might not be available, and you have to know what to look for in the first place. The internet coming along didn't replace any of that. It just made access bigger, more available, less constrained by whether you happen to be in the right place at the right time. AI is just kind of the next version of that. And right now it's free. My goal is just to make sure that's not something only people in tech get to know about and take advantage of. That's why I'm making the series. Not because I think you have to use AI, but because I want it to be a choice that you actually get to make. So in this episode, we're going to talk about a framework, 3 situations where AI can actually be useful in your daily life. If you haven't seen the last episode where I walked through how to set up an account and make your first request, I'll link it in the description and highly recommend. Here's the way I think about it. AI is a personal assistant. Not a genius, not an oracle, a personal assistant. One that's available at 2 a.m., never sighs when you ask a basic question, and has read a genuinely embarrassing amount. All right, let's start with the first situation. This is when you're curious about something but don't know where to start. You know, the 14 tabs problem. You Google something, you're somehow reading about the Byzantine Empire 20 minutes later, and you're honestly more confused than when you started. AI kind of solves that. You just ask, conversationally, and then follow up, like a conversation with someone who just happens to know a lot. For example, you just got a new house and you want to get into gardening, but you don't know anyone who's a great gardener or who has their own garden. Instead of having to figure out where you could get that information, you can literally start by opening up a chat and saying, hey, I live in this region. This is the time of year it is. These are the types of flowers that I want, or if I want something high maintenance, low maintenance, and I get a really good starting point of how I might start gardening. Or if I've always been vaguely curious about black holes, or maybe how the stock market actually works, or I'm trying to set up a trust for myself, this is a very clear, no judgment way of learning and digging deeper about something at your own pace. The second bucket is a little bit more interesting, and I like to title it something like overwhelm. So this is when you have too many options and don't know where to start. If you watched last week's video, this is kind of what the restaurant example falls under. So it's the thing where, maybe it's Sunday night, you've had a full week, you just want to watch something, and you spend 45 minutes scrolling before giving up and just going to bed. That's decision fatigue, and it's one of the things that AI is actually really good at solving. So let me show you what this looks like in practice. I can say I watched Severance, The Bear, and Slow Horses recently, and I loved all 3 shows. I'm not in the mood for anything too heavy. I have Netflix, Hulu, and Apple TV in the United States of America. What should I watch? It'll come back to me with a few options. And again, I can push back. I can say I've already seen one of these, or I don't actually like this other one, and then it will adjust. The whole back and forth will take maybe 2 to 3 minutes, and then I have an answer of something I actually want to put on. So it's kind of like having a friend that, again, is just very knowledgeable about all the different shows, what platforms they exist on, and what I might like or dislike based on previous preferences that I've had for shows or movies. The thing to notice is how much context I gave it up front. What I'd watched, what I liked, what mood I was in, what I had access to. The more context you give, the better it can actually help you. Again, think of it like briefing a friend who doesn't know your taste yet, or, a personal assistant who doesn't fully understand your taste yet. You wouldn't just say, recommend me something. You'd give them something to work with. Same idea here. And none of that is sensitive information, you're just sharing your preferences. This actually works for way more than just streaming. For example, picking a gift for someone that's hard to shop for, figuring out which questions to ask before a doctor's appointment. Anywhere that you have too many options and not enough signal, it's a great place to start. One thing I want to flag again, I talked about it last video, but again, trust but verify. Remember, AI is not a source of truth. It's a starting point. For facts, for anything you're going to stake something real on, please go check. But again, for getting unstuck and narrowing things down, really, really useful. And finally, the third and last bucket I like to call blank, because it's when you need to start something and you just can't, kind of like staring at a blank page. Blank page paralysis is one of the most universal human experiences. Maybe there's an email you've been putting off, a hard conversation you need to prepare for, a plan you need to make, but you keep avoiding. AI is actually a really good blank page killer. You give it context, ask it to take a first pass, and suddenly you have something to react to instead of nothing to start with. You're going to edit it, make it yours, of course, but you're not staring at white space anymore. That shift alone from 0 to something is a lot more useful than it might sound. Curious, overwhelmed, stuck. Those are your 3 entry points. And that's the entire framework. Next time you find yourself in one of those states, you now have something you can reach for. And the great thing is that it's free, it's already out there, and it actually gets easier the more that you use it. And remember, you're not outsourcing your brain and you're not replacing the people in your life. You're just adding one more resource to your toolkit should you want to reach for it. Once you've tried these 3, and I really do mean tried them, just once each, the next thing worth knowing is how to get better answers. Because there's a real difference between an okay response and a great one, and it mostly just comes down to how you ask. We'll dig a bit deeper into that next time. Please like and subscribe if you found this video helpful, or if you give it a try and there's a really cool use case that you found or something awesome that you were able to do with it, please let me know. I'd love to hear that. I'll see you all in the next one.